let's jump into waiver wired running backs.
Okay.
And first of all, let's look at the notable running backs on bye headline.
I'm sorry. Did you ask me to look at the notable running backs on what bye?
Oh God! Oh God! No.
I'm looking.
Oh, it's a tough.
Who are some of the notable running backs on bye?
Oh, we gotta get Connor Rogers has got to replace me next time. The Commanders have a win.
This is just, by the way,
Connor. Please,
a lot of visual jokes going on here for those listening at home in a podcast. Just it also is worth checking out on demand on Peacock or on the NFL on NBC YouTube channel.
I reckon the podcast is the play for this episode.
No, the visuals are here. You stepped over my you stepped over my plug there. The NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You can see this on demand as well.
This is a great channel. All right, Ken Walker's on bye. Leonard Fournette, and maybe more to the point, Rashad White is on bye as well. Travis Etienne, Jeff Wilson, Raheem Mostert. They're all out, so we'll tell you who to pick up. And as we look at what they have done this season,
it's a lot of. I mean, like you've got 5 running backs inside the top 30, and Wilson and Mostert. Especially Wilson, who's come on lately. Walker and Etienne, both top 20 running backs, and those are guys that didn't really start as the guy in their backfield as well.
Rashad White should be top 30 the rest of the way.
I would think so as well. So you've got 6 running backs that matter to you that are not playing this week. So chances are you need a running back.
And I think probably the hottest name among running backs is going to be Elijah Mitchell, who all of a sudden is in a 50-50 timeshare with Christian McCaffrey. I don't know why they sold the farm to get a split backfield going, but Elijah Mitchell was basically getting half the work against the Chargers.
We want to bring him up right now just because he is available in about 42% of Yahoo leagues. My guess is in most competitive leagues he's not, but we bring him up, so it is worth checking to see if he's out there in yours. We don't think he's widespreadly available, but which is sort of a word. But to your point, that even with Christian McCaffrey active and 18 touches for CMC, Elijah Mitchell still saw 56% of the team's running back carries. This is somebody who had 19 touches, as you mentioned, in Week 10. He caught one pass there. You see it there on your screen, but given it sort of makes sense. Both these guys are super talented. Both these guys have had extensive injury histories, and so wanted to keep both of them a little bit safe and healthy, split up the workload. It does feel like that they still want to be fairly run heavy in San Francisco. Their defense is going to keep them in most games, so as a result, they're going to be able to run the ball and have a balanced offense. So Elijah Mitchell, not only for the upside if anything were to happen for CMC, but because it seems like he is going to have over 40% of this San Francisco running back shares, worth picking up if he is out there in your league.
Yeah, definitely. If I was a CMC manager, I would be concerned that this has happened after they've had their bye. Like, McCaffrey's integrated it into the offense now, into the playbook, and he's still had less carries than Elijah Mitchell, which is a little bit of a concern over a guy who 3 days ago we thought was going to be the clear number 1 guy in fantasy the rest of the way. Not looking like that anymore.
I think he still could be, though. I still think, if you're drafting again today, how far down in the draft are you getting before you take Christian McCaffrey? If you wanted to take Saquon Barkley ahead of him, I get it. If you want to take
Jonathan Taylor
or Eckler, it's one game for Taylor, which is against the Raiders. I think I'm probably he's in that top 5. I think I'm probably still taking McCaffrey 1.
Really?
Yeah, even with
I think I'd take Saquon.
Which is fair. I think it's really there between Saquon and CMC. I'll just say that, he had 18 touches. If you're telling me Christian McCaffrey's going to get 18 touches a game in a Niners offense, I'm good.
Yeah.
Knock yourself out with Elijah Mitchell. They're still going to use Christian McCaffrey in high leverage situations, in the red zone, in scoring opportunities. He's Christian freaking McCaffrey. If you want to go Barkley ahead of him, I get that. I got no issue or beef with that. And make it no mistake, I'm down for some beef. I'm ready. Bring it on. Who wants it? Let's go, Blake Friedman, you dumb Eagles fan. Let's go. Come on. Yeah.
We need to get vegetarian. Let's go to Rashad White, who is on a bye. but it seems like the reporting is saying that Rashad White might be the guy regardless of Leonard Fournette's injury, which doesn't seem that serious in any case, and Rashad White should obviously be rostered in every single league and started every week until further notice.
We've been saying this for quite some time about picking up Rashad White. Now that he's on a bye this week, so if you need somebody for this week, he ain't your guy. But when we just think about running backs that play with Tom Brady, especially in November and December, even in Tampa Bay, that has a lot of value. You heard Brady in the post-game press conference talk about how important it is for them to be able to run the ball effectively, to set up play action, to make it a more balanced offense that makes him more efficient. It's super important to what he wants to do. And so Rashad White, who had 105 rushing yards in Germany. That's the most rushing yards by Bucs running back since week 1, and looked, by the way, more explosive than Leonard Fournette prior to the injury. I mean, just prior to the injury, I think in the worst case scenario for Rashad White, it is a 50-50 split, and the best case scenario is that Fournette is still a little bit banged up when they come out of the bye, and that maybe it's 60-40 White, or even that he gets the full start because Fournette is not ready to be the guy when they come back in Week 12. Remember, when Fournette went down, Rashad White played 80% of the snaps.
Yep, all-time NFL record leader for rushing yards in Germany, Rashad White.
Yes.
He's definitely the guy that you want. Let's talk about Isaiah Pacheco, who's 76% available, and Jerick McKinnon, 84% available. Now, Isaiah Pacheco is a very kind of, sexy name at the moment. I'm not really sure that he should be, though, because he's only getting first and second down work. He's not playing third downs. He's not getting any pass game work in the red zone. That's a question as well. And also, the Chiefs throw the ball more than anyone.
You know what he's like?
Oh, no.
He's like, no, I'll tell you exactly what he's like. He's a little, what you just described is basically Brian Robinson of my Commanders, who, as you know, won last night.
Missed 6.
But to your point, right? Like, I mean, he is touchdown dependent. It is a pass-first offense. He's not going to have any passing game usage. He had an 87. He had a 57% snap rate this past weekend, third highest by a Chiefs running back so far this year. But you're right. He had 82 yards. He's not going to, if he doesn't get into the end zone, that's what it's going to be, 7 to 8 points, which is fine. I mean, in 7 to 8 points with potential for a touchdown, that's usable as a flex. So we think you should pick him up. We just want to, caution that it may have been a game script thing. I don't know that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is completely done. Who knows? It was sort of weird. Yeah. But it does feel like they seem to like Pacheco. The important part to me was after Pacheco fumbled, he came back in. They still went to him. They didn't bench him. He's had double-digit carries in 3 different games this year. He's averaging over 5 yards per carry in all of them. So there's more explosiveness and more between the tackle strength to him than I think CEH. And then you think about, okay, well, what about the passing game? Well, Jerick McKinnon, the other guy you mentioned there, is frankly better in the passing game, right? He's actually played more snaps than any other Chiefs running back this season, 55 to be exact. He's had back-to-back games with 8 targets and 6 receptions. And he's fully healthy. There was somebody that they used a lot in the playoffs last year as well. So coming back healthy, feels like McKinnon and Pacheco are the guys. One's the early down guy, one's the third down and passing down back, but doesn't. I think McKinnon has as long as we're talking Commanders, and we are, and by we I mean me.
We're always talking.
No, but he's kind of a J.D. McKissick type.
Oh, we're just going to compare everything to a Washington Commander for the end of time.
Patrick Mahomes. Fantasy is kind of a Taylor Heineke.
Jason Campbell.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, stop with Jason Campbell. Brad Johnson. Yeah, exactly. Whatever.
All right, let's break down these 3 big names.
No, but I'm saying fantasy-wise, they're different players. But I'm just saying, J.D. McKissick was flex when J.D. McKissick was healthy, especially last year, in 12-team or deeper PPR leagues. J.D. McKissick was like a viable flex, and that's what I think McKinnon is.
Yep. Okay, Pacheco, Mitchell, White, how are you ordering those guys 1, 2, 3 in terms of priority?
Yeah, I think it depends on what you need, right? And this is also how much fab should I spend? I've been holding on to the number 1 waiver pick. Do I use that? It all depends. Are you 7-3 and loaded at running back? Then to me, Elijah Mitchell, because you don't need him this week, or Rashad White, those are guys that have more upside. To me, if I'm in that situation where I feel pretty good at my running back room, 7-3 or whatever, or better, I know I'm making the playoffs, Rashad White has the most long-term potential and upside. but I need somebody this week. I need a live body this week because I'm missing both ETN and Fournette. Then to me, Pacheco is the guy against the Chargers. The Chargers are a brutal run defense.
Yes, they are. And they don't have any defensive tackles left at all, so they're in trouble. All right, let's talk about...
Over the last 4 weeks, only one team in the NFL has given up more rushing yards per game period, than the LA Chargers. So Pacheco, who should get the majority of the work, he'll be on the love list this week as a flex play.
I've actually never seen anything like that happened against the 49ers, where they literally ran out of defensive tackles, so they had to blitz every single play at the end because it was the only way they were going to clog up the gaps. All right, let's talk about Jaylen Warren, who was one of the big names of last week in terms of the murmurs that Najee Harris was going to be sidelined out of the role that he had. Well, not the case. He got 20 carries. Yep. Still any interest in picking up Jaylen Warren, who's available in 73% of leagues?
Yeah, I am interested in Warren. There was kind of, shots fired for Najee Harris, and I think he got the message, right? But the fact of the matter is that Jaylen Warren, as you see it there on your screen in terms of what the two guys did against the Saints, Jaylen Warren had 40 receiving yards, which, he ultimately had 12 touches. It was his second straight game with over 75 yards from scrimmage. He's averaging 6 yards per touch so far this season. Harris just 3.8. They host the Cincinnati Bengals in a divisional matchup this week. So Warren, again, a lot of upside because if anything were to happen to Harris, Warren would immediately be vaulted into kind of a top 15 running back. But at the moment, I think he's a 12-team or deeper flex play. He's kind of like Jerick McKinnon.
Yep.
With slightly less upside than McKinnon because you'd rather somebody on the Chiefs offense than the Steelers offense because Kansas City's going to be in scoring position more often.
Yep. Mike Tomlin has just said that Najee Harris has some knee discomfort, but he will still be able to play in games. It's just something to monitor and another reason why Jaylen Warren should be on your bench.
By the way, I'm reporting that Jay Croucher has some host discomfort.
Yeah, I'm playing through it. Though.
Right, exactly.
Playing through it. Yeah, the chains are tough, and the jiggling's even worse.
The interesting thing is, because I studied the Kirk Cousins video, and then I studied Shefty's parody of it.
What is this like?
Right, and it's the hands have to be close. The arms and hands close. They don't it's not a lot of this. It's a lot of just this. Wow. And I don't know what this is. This is is this like a dad move or something like that? But it's a lot of just the hand. It's like a choo-choo train kind of thing, where your hands are sort of close together. Your arms are close, and your elbows are basically on your side, and you're sort of it's kind of a rock'em sock'em robot thing that they've got going on. And watch the videos.
I imagine this is...
And it's a little bit of a hips. I don't know what's going on there.
Imagine this is the exact same stuff Daniel Day-Lewis did with Abe Lincoln before Lincoln, the same kind of method acting
right here.
Yeah. Well,
you understand I take my role serious. Because as you...
Daniel Day-Berry.
Thank you very much. Because, you know what Daniel Day-Lewis is?
What's he?
Not the highest grossing actor on a per movie basis in Hollywood box office history.
Wow.
Because you are talking to the person that is.
Yeah.
On a per movie basis.
Yes.
I'm the highest grossing actor of all time worldwide.
The jiggling continues even when physically it's not.
I'm just saying. So don't question my thespian schools.
Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of Daniel Day-Lewis and There Will Be Blood, let's talk about the waiver wire and potential cuts.
Right. Sure.
Here are the most dropped running backs on Yahoo, headlined by Eno Benjamin, who is looking for work.
That was a weird one.
I didn't get that. I feel like he's the best running back on the team, arguably.
I feel like I don't want to cast any aspersions. It feels like there's more to that story, and I don't know what it is.
Bit of an aspersion.
Well, I'm not saying why. I'm not saying, I don't know if it's on Eno's side or the Cardinals side or that's a weird one, right?
Yes, very strange.
We have to acknowledge that on a team that has a running back that's injury prone, to release the guy that had been their starter just a couple of weeks ago and performed well, out of the blue, why are you releasing him? It's not like there was a corresponding roster move either.
No.
They just got rid of him. So it does feel like there's more to that story from one of the two sides. Here, the guys that are interesting here of these guys, Deion Jackson, I get that, with Jonathan Taylor's back, but there's still that Nyheim Hines role available. And Matt Ryan, as good as he looked last week, he's still going to dump off. There's still 7 touches. So Deion Jackson, I think, and given Taylor's injury history, I think he's sort of interesting as well. Khalil Herbert, he left the game, and so I get that, but like he's been really productive. We don't know how injured he is. Those are ones that I probably wouldn't be as keen to drop that in any of those players. Like, again, you're dropping them if you need somebody there, but I'm not actively looking to drop some of those guys.
Yep. Okay. Look, I think
if you wanted to hang on to, again, like Deion Jackson is somebody like Chuba Hubbard, given how well, if anything were to happen to Deontay Foreman. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he was really good, and then his usage has been trending down, and then just no usage last week. But, like, you never know. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Yep. So, hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBC Sports and RotoWorld.com. Just want to thank you so much for watching what you just watched, or at least being too lazy to click out of it after the, autoplay just kept it going. So either way, thank you so much for just letting it scroll by your screen. And now I'd like to ask you respectfully, okay? Respectfully, please subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel for the latest NFL news, fantasy headlines from RotoWorld, and betting analysis from NBC Sports Edge.